Hey everybody, JR here, and today we're going to do another tax server build. This time we're going to do the tax server container build. So if you haven't done so already, go to tac.gov, go ahead and log in. What we're going to do is once we go there, we're going to have products and tax server. We scroll down a little bit, we'll see tax server Docker 5.2 release 16, which was just released, I want to say this week or last week. So go ahead and download that. I have already done so, and I've placed this in a folder. From here, I'm going to go ahead and hold Shift, right click, and I'm going to open in a terminal. This is going to put me right directly into that folder. What I want to do is copy that to my Docker host, since I'm running Docker on a different server. So I need to copy that over. So I'm going to do SCP tax server, and then the username and the IP address. And then after that, I'm going to do a colon, and I want to drop this into the root directory of that user. So I'm going to do the little squiggly line, tilde, or whatever it's called, and a forward slash, and go ahead and enter my password. Now while that's copied, I'm going to go ahead and open up a larger window that I had up previously, and I can see it in the background copying over. So we're at 54%. While that's going, I'm going to go ahead and SSH into that other server. Oops. Okay, so it's finally finished. So we see that. So I'm going to unzip this. And again, your mileage may vary, but I'm running Docker on a different host. So these commands are going to be run off of that host. As you can see, I'm just using Photon OS, which is a VMware Docker host. Very minimal installation, very tiny, small. So I'm going to go ahead and unzip that guy. And once we've unzipped that, it's going to create a new folder. It's going to be the name of that zip, basically. You can barely see it because of my theme, but it says tax server Docker 5.2 release 16. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate into that directory. And what I want to do first before I start to do anything is I'm going to create my networking and volumes. So first thing I will do is create my tax server network. So Docker network create tax server. And then I'm additionally going to create a volume for my database. So Docker volume create and then takserver-db. That's just my naming standard. Now that we have that, what I want to also do is create a password for my tax server API, so that one container to talk to my database. And that's generally done through the startup scripts and the traditional install. It randomly creates a password for you and go ahead and populates that core config example XML. So for me, I'm just going to use OpenSSL to generate a random password. So open SSL random password base 64. We'll say 12. We'll pipe that out to the tr-dc, and I'm only going to look for the characters A through Z for A through Z with numbers. And that's going to carry that over here. What I'm going to do is use sed to edit the core config in the tag directory. So right now, just to show you, I'm going to do sed/s password equals that. Oops, let's do this. Grep password tag/core config example.xml. And you'll see that it's blank. So using the sed editor, I can go ahead and demonstrate the addition of that password. Password equals G single quote and then tag server core config example XML. So if you're not familiar with this command, I'm going to use sed. I didn't give it any arguments, but basically I wanted to search for this value, replace it with this value globally, and then this folder. And then if I actually grep that for password, we'll see that it actually input that. However, it did not execute that command. So what I want to do is go ahead and delete that. This is it basically just shows you an example of what it would look like before you actually commit. So in order to commit, we do sed-I, and then it's going to commit that to that file. So if I go back up and up arrow back into my grep command into there, we'll see that that password is there. Now that we have that piece done, what we're going to do is actually build the tag server database container. So we're going to use docker build t, and my name, I'm just going to use takserver-db. From there, additionally f docker, so we're going to reference files that are in there, -db, and because we're in this directory, I want to execute it from there. And this is going to take a while because it's going to download all the things required for that container. All right, looks like it's done. Now we're actually going to run the container. So docker run. I'm actually going to mount my volume that I created. So mount source takserver-db, comma destination equals, and this is going to be /var lib post gresql is going to be the directory. Now we're going to mount the tac server directory. So I want to use that current directory of tac. So print working directory tac /opt tac it port 5432 network. We're going to use that tac server network that we created. Network alias. We're going to do tac-database name takserver-db. We're going to detach, and we're going to use the takserver-db that we created just now. If we do a docker ps-tag all, the tag server is created. Now we're going to create our actual tag server core API. So we're going to do the docker build. We're going to just do tag server as the name, docker, and go ahead and execute that to build that next container. Okay, now that that's complete, let's go ahead and run our container. So docker run. I'm going to go ahead and do v. So I'm going to mount the tag server directory again. Tac. So docker run space -v $, parentheses pwd parentheses /tac / or colon /opt tac z again, do it, and then here we're going to list all our ports. So 8089, port again 8443, and then port 8446 for certificate enrollment. And if I'm going to do federation, I'm going to go add 9001. After that, I'm going to tie it to the network again of tac server. I'll do a network alias for this one just in case I want to do any integration later on. I'm going to give it a name of tac server and then apply the tac server that I just built. And we go docker ps-tag-a. We can see that those are up and running. Now that we have that, we need to edit our cert metadata. So if you recall, that is the certificate information. First thing to edit that, we're going to go vi tac certs cert-metadata sh. And let's go ahead and state. We'll say right now I'm in California. We'll say San Diego. San Diego. Organization. We'll go my tech net. And organizational unit. It's just tac. We'll leave everything the same for right now. This is just a demo. go ahead and colon, right quit. And after that, I'm going to do docker exec it takserver bash. And we're going to execute the following command. So following command I want to do is cd/opt tac certs, and then I want to make my cert. So I'm going to make that root one. So make root with a capital R, CA with a capital CA, or capital C, shell, CA-name, and this one root CA01 on traditional standards. All right, now I'm just going to go up arrow again. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to do make cert.sh CA tac ID CA01. Now the other thing is when you run this command, it's going to actually prompt you, do you want to make this the issuing cert? So what I want to do is I want to say yes. So I'm going to right before I do the execute the command for make cert, I'm going to type in echo y space pipe and then run that. So that way when it says, do you want to, make this the issuing certificate for all future client and servers, you'll go ahead and bypass that prompt. Now we're going to make our server certificate. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that. We'll do make cert again, sh server, and then I'm just going to do tax server for this. So now I've created my root, my intermediate, and my tax server. Now that we've done that, we need to edit our core config, because if you remember, our core config by default references truststore.root. So if I do grep truststore root and I do tac/core config example, you'll notice that it's right there. I know this is the TLS for the tac server. So what I need to do is replace truststore root with truststore tac IDCA01, because that is now our issuing certificate authority for all future certs that we request. So we're going to do set again. Now, again, I'm just going to show you the command. So truststore-root /truststore-tac ID CA01. Again, the name that I put for my certificate authority, or my new issuing one. And then the tac/core config example XML. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grep that out so you can see that. Truststore dash. And we can see that it replaced truststore root with truststore tac ID CE01. And there's only one instance. So I'm going to delete that grep command. I'm going to go back to the home and I'm going to actually apply that. So now if I scroll up and do the grep for the truststore, but I'm going to do truststore dash, we'll see that it's changed. Now we're going to do that. We're going to do a docker restart. I'm going to restart the tax server. Additionally, I want to review the logs. So I'm going to tail tac logs tax server messaging.log. So we're going to restart that container. We're going to view the logs. And what I want to do is I want to look for any errors. So that's the old errors from the log when we first started. So I can ignore that. Successfully started. So if you see here, I'm highlighting it, successfully started. If I open up another tab or go to this tab, I could do test net connection IP address dash port, and we'll do 88.9. Again, this is PowerShell. So it's going to try to do a response back. Should come back true. It's also going to do a ping. Additionally, I can go through those other ports that I did. This is a simple test. I recommend, easy troubleshooting. TCP only, it does not do UDP. All right. Now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and press Control C to exit out of those logs. And what I need to do is I need to create my web admin certificate, and I'm going to also create the web admin password so that I can log in to 8446. So we're going to do our Docker exec again. We're going to go back into our attack server, bash. I'm going to execute the following commands. So single quote, I need to create the cert. So I'm going to do cd/opt tag certs and double and make cert sh. It's going to be a client, and I'm just going to call it web admin, just my typical standard. Okay, so now that it's created that certificate, I also need to make it an admin. So I'm going to do docker exec it tag server bash tag c, and we're say java-jar opt tag utils user manager with a capital U and M .jar cert mod dash a will say, hey, this is an administrator, and then the path to the cert, so the full path, opt tag certs files web admin.pem. So the certificate we just created with the pem extension. Oops, cert mod. Now it's created that. Now what I can do is I'm additionally going to create another one, but I'm going to do user mod. So this one is going to actually user mod -a, and I'm going to create a password for that account. So lowercase p and single quote. I'm going to do let's just do password 1234. I think it wants like special characters, and then web admin. So should say docker exec it tag server being the container, bash for the command, java jar opt tag utils user manager.jar user mod -a capital A, so make this guy an admin -p. We'll see if this accepts that, and web admin.
At this point, I started to run into issues with running that command. So instead of bore you and watch you see me troubleshoot, I'm going to skip forward. Here, I ended up just executing the docker exec command to go directly into the container to create that username and password after I ran into so many issues.
Manager user mod a p password 1234 bang web admin. Okay, so we'll do it that way. Not losing my mind. Oh, 15 characters. Fine. We'll go 3, 4. All right, there we go. I'm going to exit out of that guy. Now that we have that, I need to move some PEMs around. So to make things easier, I'm going to go back to my home directory. So cd tilde, it's going to take me there, or cd/root, it's going to take me here. What I want to do is copy tag server, tag certs files, trust store -tag id.p12, and I'm going to do ca-cert.p12. So we copy the ca-cert p12. Additionally, I need to copy the web admin one. So copy tag server docker tag certs files webadmin.p12 here, and I'm just going to keep it the same. Additionally, I want to create a client server for WinTag, so let's go ahead and do docker exec it tag server bash -c. Command is going to be cd opt tag certs and am dot / make cert.sh. We'll do client and then wintac01 is going to be the name. Now that I have that, I additionally need to assign wintac01 to a user group. So I'm just going to do docker exec it takserver bash takc cd opt tak certs, oops, wrong command, java -jar opt tak utils user manager.jar cert mod, no a this time because we don't want it to be an admin, full path. So opt tag certs files wintac01.pem. Okay, now we're going to copy that. So copy tag server tag / tag search files wintac01.p12 here. Oops. So now I have cert, webin, and wintac 01p12. So let's go ahead and cd desktop demo. I'm going to copy those files. So scp root at IP address. I'm going to copy all the p12s here. Oops. After you do scp root at the IP address :tilde /*p12, put a space dot. It's going to copy it to the current working directory that you're in right now. If I entered my password right. Here we go. So now let's go here. Let's go ahead and install this cert. We're going to do current user, next, next. Since we kept the password as the default, just be atac, next. Let's place it in our personal, next, and finish. All right, so what I'm going to do is go into wintac. I have wintac already loaded. I'm going to hit the cloud down here. I'm going to go manage server connections. Here's a demo from our last time. We're going to delete that. I'm going to do a new one. So takserver-container, container, and 192.168.154. We're going to install the certificate authority. And go to desktop, demo, cert, atac. I'm going to install my client cert, atac, and hit OK. Should connect. I'm going to go ahead and plop myself over here, San Diego. All right, let's go open a browser. Let's go ahead and hit 8446. Browser doesn't trust it. We're going to do that web admin. And God forbid, I don't remember what that password was. What did I create it? So let's scroll back up. I'm going to highlight this password here because I obviously don't remember that password. I'm going to paste it here, log in. We see we're in the dashboard using that. I can go to monitoring and client dashboard.
This is when I start to notice that the WinTag client is not showing up on the client monitoring dashboard, which it should.
Admin.
So you will see me start to troubleshoot and notice that I use the core config example.xml to modify
users.
the trust store CA.
Here.
It should have been the core config XML and not the example.
Let's go ahead and do situational awareness. Let's go ahead and do WebTAC. I'll do Lone Wolf. Oops. It says we got disconnected. Let's do some troubleshooting. So cd tag server, and we're going to do tail tag f tag logs tag server tag messaging. Oh, you know what? We did all the editing on core config example. We need to actually edit the core config. So let's do something real quick. So we're going to do sed tag I. We're going to grep it. So if I do grep trust store dash root tag core config XML, still says that. So we need to edit that. If I look at password, let's do password real quick. Core tag core config XML. Password carried over, but that one did not. So let's go ahead and do our sed command again. Sed tag I s trust store dash root trust store tag ID CA01. We're do global tag core XML. Let's go ahead and review that in our core config. We have trust store tech ID, trust store. So docker restart, restart, tag server, and then we'll tail those logs. And I bet you that's going to resolve our issue. All right, tag server started. Let's go ahead and check back here. That says that started. Let's go back in our browser. Let's hit reconnect. I'm just going to go ahead and refresh this guy. Oh, here we go. And what do you know? Let's go ahead and click on here. Let's add a new contacts, tech01. I can do a test. Comes into here, contacts, lone wolf. And it's that simple. Now you've built a tag server using the containers.